the galaxy's oldest species evades Earth. It hides a darker secret. Humanity had reached far beyond the solar system, exploring alien worlds and mapping star clusters hundreds of light years away. And now, something unusual had appeared, a pattern in the dark, a pulse of energy no telescope could explain. Dr. Lena Morales, chief astronomer at the Orion Research Station, stared at the readings with a mix of fascination and unease. "It's repeating," she whispered to her assistant, Kale. The screen showed a sequence of energy bursts, evenly spaced, precise. "It's not natural. Nothing we've seen behaves like this. Someone or something is sending signals." Kale leaned closer. "But every probe we send near that sector comes back scrambled. It's as if they don't want us to see them." Lena's brow furrowed. "Not want us to see them. That's a strong word. Who wouldn't want to communicate with humans?" Kale shrugged. "Apparently, the galaxy's oldest species." The words hung in the air. Humanity had heard legends of the Eldari, the mysterious race said to predate all known civilizations. Stories told of their vast knowledge, their unmatched technology, and their strange habit of avoiding contact with younger species. Many dismissed it as myth, but the signals Lena's team had picked up were real, very real. "Prepare the probes," Lena said. "We need more data. I want to know why they're hiding." Days later, a small human research vessel, the Horizon, approached the coordinates of the strange signals. Its crew of 8, trained for exploration and science, felt both excitement and fear. Among them was Captain Aaron Vance, a decorated officer known for his cool head under pressure. "Keep your eyes open," he said to the crew. "We don't know what's waiting for us. If the Eldari are as old as we think, they could be dangerous or they could be watching." The Horizon entered the star cluster, its sensors scanning for anomalies. At first, nothing appeared. Then faint traces of energy rippled across the sensor array. Aaron frowned. There it is. Magnify," the crew gasped. On the screen, a massive structure appeared. Not a planet, not a ship, but a complex formation of glowing energy and metal, drifting silently in the void. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. "Doctor." Lena Morales' voice trembled as she studied the images transmitted from the probe. "It's enormous, billions of meters across. And look at the pattern, it's organized, perfectly organized." Kale spoke softly. "It's like it's alive in a way we don't understand. Not biological, but intelligent, ancient intelligence." Aaron's eyes narrowed. "And it noticed us." Indeed, something had noticed them. Across the void, faint pulses in the Eldari structure reacted to the human presence. The Horizon's instruments recorded subtle distortions in space, tiny shifts that hinted at a mind far beyond human comprehension. The crew felt a shiver run down their spines. "We should leave," Aaron said firmly. "Now," but curiosity won. Lena insisted on one more probe, one that could enter closer than ever before. Against Aaron's protests, they launched it. The probe transmitted breathtaking images. Towers of crystal-like material, vast networks of energy conduits, and occasionally hints of beings moving with silent grace inside the structures. But then, abruptly, the images froze. Static consumed the feed. "Scrambled," Kale muttered. "Something's blocking it." "They don't want us to see." Aaron clenched his fists. "Then let's get out before they decide to teach us a lesson." The Horizon turned away, engines blazing, and then it happened. A wave of energy passed over the ship, subtle but unmistakable. Systems flickered. The crew felt a strange pressure in their minds, not physical but intrusive, as if someone or something was aware of their thoughts. "Shields holding," Aaron said, gripping the controls. "But they know we're here." The vessel escaped the star cluster, but the experience left them shaken. For the first time, humans realized that the Eldari were not merely hiding. They were watching, evaluating, deciding. Back on Earth, news of the encounter spread like wildfire. Governments convened emergency councils. The Eldari were no longer myth. They were real, and humanity had touched the edges of their realm. Dr. Lena Morales addressed the United Earth Council. The Eldari are the oldest known species in the galaxy. They predate even the first galactic civilizations we've recorded. Their technology, their intelligence, it's beyond anything we can comprehend. And judging by what our probe saw, they are aware of us. The council members exchanged worried glances. Ambassador Ree spoke last. Are they hostile? Lena shook her head. I don't know, they ignored us. They may want nothing to do with us, or they may be studying us. Either way, we must proceed with caution. The galaxy's oldest species does not interfere lightly. If they wanted to destroy us, we wouldn't be here talking, Kale added quietly, or maybe they're deciding whether we are dangerous. The words hung heavily in the room. The possibility was terrifying. Humanity had always considered itself clever, strong, adaptable, but against a species that had survived millions of years, whose every action was deliberate, could humans truly measure up? Despite the fear, curiosity burned brighter. Humanity launched more sophisticated probes, cloaked in stealth and AI guidance, to study the Eldari. Each probe returned fragments of information, structures, energy patterns, fleeting glimpses of what could be alive. But always a barrier remained. The Eldari were careful. Nothing penetrated their defenses. Dr. Lena Morales stayed awake for hours analyzing the data. They're hiding something, she muttered. Not just from us, but from everyone. And yet they watch. Aaron Vance, visiting the lab, asked, "Do you think they're afraid of us?" Lena shook her head. No, fear implies emotion. This is calculation. They are measuring our potential, our intelligence, how we react. Every probe we send, every action we take, they notice. They're silent, but they are not passive. Aaron frowned. And if they decide we're a threat, Lena's voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed worry. Then we'd better hope they see more potential than danger. Weeks passed. Humanity learned to adapt, to respect the Eldari's boundaries while quietly probing their secrets. Space agencies built advanced telescopes, AI-driven probes, and deep space observation stations. Every system, every star, every faint pulse of energy was recorded and analyzed. Then came the breakthrough. A small, uncrewed probe picked up an unusual signal within the Eldari territory, a faint, repeating pattern embedded in the background noise. It wasn't meant to reach humans, but somehow it did. Lena deciphered it with trembling hands. "It's a warning," she said. "Not to stay away, but to notice. They're watching us more closely than ever, and I think they might be judging us." Aaron stood behind her, arms crossed. "Judging us, like school children." Lena smiled faintly, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Perhaps. But imagine being judged by a species older than the stars themselves. Every choice we make, every probe we launch, every step into the galaxy matters. We are no longer alone in our arrogance. We are being measured." The Horizon's crew, back on Earth, held a meeting. They discussed the next mission, whether to push forward, risking Eldari attention, or pull back, respecting the silent watchers. But deep down, all of them felt the same spark. Humans do not turn away from the unknown. Captain Aaron Vance spoke last. "They may be older, wiser, and more powerful, but we are humans, curious, brave, and relentless. If the galaxy's oldest species is watching, let them watch. Because when they see what we are capable of, they might just realize that Earth is not to be underestimated." Doctor. Lena Morales nodded. "Yes, we are young in the galaxy, but even young stars can burn bright, and we will burn." And with that, humanity took its first real step into the shadow of the Eldari, a step into danger, curiosity, and the promise of discovery. The galaxy's oldest species had evaded Earth for millennia, but now Earth had made itself impossible to ignore. The stars were calm again, but for humans, nothing would ever feel the same. Something watched from the darkness, unseen and calculating. And for the first time, humanity understood the weight of being noticed by a species older than time itself. Humanity had changed. The encounter with the Eldari was no longer a story in textbooks or an idea whispered among scientists. It was real. Humanity had been watched, measured, and quietly tested. And now, Dr. Lena Morales and her team had uncovered something that chilled them even more than the thought of being observed. The Eldari had a shadow archive, a record of species across the galaxy, including humans. The news came from a probe sent deeper into the star cluster. It had returned fragments of encrypted data, broken into thousands of pieces, but enough to reveal startling information. Kale, now an expert in alien codes, ran the final analysis. "It's a database," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "A record of species they've studied for millions of years, and we're on it." Dr. Morale's eyes widened. "What does it say?" Kale hesitated. "Potentially dangerous, unpredictable, intelligent beyond expected norms. They've been watching us for centuries, maybe longer, not just observing, judging, deciding if we're a threat to galactic stability." The room went silent. Even the hum of computers seemed muted against the weight of those words. Captain Aaron Vance leaned back in his chair. "So they've been looking at us for centuries, waiting for what?" Lena's jaw tightened. "Waiting to see if we are ready or if we're dangerous enough to destroy." Kale nodded. "And from what we can see, they are cautious. They don't strike lightly. But if the judgment goes wrong, if they decide we are a threat—" Aaron didn't finish the sentence. The thought hung in the air like smoke. Humanity had two choices: pull back and avoid attention, or step forward and show the galaxy what humans could do. As usual, curiosity won. A new initiative was born, Project Insight. Its goal was simple but audacious: learn more about the Eldari without being detected. Using cloaked probes, AI analysis, and human ingenuity, the team began decoding fragments of Eldari communications. What they discovered was astonishing. The Eldari were guardians of galactic stability, intervening only when a species posed a catastrophic threat. Entire civilizations had been destroyed in the distant past, not because the Eldari wanted to kill, but because the survival of the galaxy demanded it. Dr. Morales studied the schematics of Eldari stations. "Their technology is not just advanced," she said. "It's adaptive. It anticipates threats, learns, and evolves faster than any AI we've created. And yet, they avoid direct interference with young species unless necessary." Kale frowned. "They avoided us, but why? If they are so cautious, why watch so closely?" Lena leaned forward. "Because we are unpredictable. They see potential, potential for greatness and danger." The Horizon's crew was selected for a dangerous mission. A small, elite team of humans would enter Eldari territory undetected, using stealth technology and AI cloaking. Their goal: to observe, record, and uncover the Shadow Archive in its entirety. Captain Vance briefed the crew. "We don't know what we'll find, but remember, our strength is not just in firepower. It's in curiosity, intelligence, and teamwork. We survive by thinking, not by charging blindly into the unknown." The team boarded the Aegis, a small craft built for stealth and speed. Its engines whispered rather than roared, and its hull shimmered to avoid detection. As they approached Eldari space, tension filled every heartbeat. "Sensors show multiple structures," Kale reported from the console. "Energy patterns like we've never seen, and subtle distortions in space, like the fabric itself is aware of us." Aaron's voice was calm, but his grip on the controls was tight. "Stay focused. Move slow. Don't trigger anything." Inside Eldari space, the team witnessed wonders beyond imagination. Towers of crystal shimmered with inner light suspended in a vacuum. Energy conduits ran between structures, pulsating in rhythmic harmony. Fleets of ships, smaller than human vessels, moved in perfect coordination, invisible except for subtle distortions in the field around them. Dr. Morales whispered, "It's alive. Not in the sense we know life, but intelligent, conscious. Every structure, every movement, it's thinking." Kale nodded. and every thought seems aimed at us. They maneuvered the Aegis toward what appeared to be a central station. The shadow archive lay within, partially shielded. Data streams of incredible complexity flowed like rivers of light, recording millennia of galactic history. The team barely dared to breathe. Aaron murmured, "This is what they've been hiding, all of it." Suddenly, a pulse of energy washed over the Aegis. Systems flickered. The crew felt a pressure on their minds, not physical but cognitive, as if something was probing their thoughts. "Focus," Aaron said firmly. "Stay calm." Dr. Morales watched the archive screens flicker. "They're debating, not with us but about us. Their communications, it's a discussion. Should they strike us? Should they wait?" Kale's hands flew over the controls. "They're not angry, not yet. They're evaluating. We're in a test." Hours passed, though it felt like seconds. Every moment was a balance between discovery and survival. Finally, they downloaded fragments of the archive to their storage drives, enough to reveal humanity's potential danger and promise. The humans retreated, leaving no trace of their presence. The Aegis slipped back into familiar space, cloaked once again. Back on Earth, Lena's voice shook with excitement. "We've done it. We've touched the Eldari's secrets without being caught, and we've learned we are being judged. They are testing our intelligence, our morality, our restraint, and they are impressed." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Impressed, after all the danger." "Not impressed like a child clapping," Lena said. "Impressed in a way that matters. They see potential. And that could save us from destruction." But the Shadow Archive also revealed something darker. Hidden among the data streams were warnings, cryptic records of species that had failed, civilizations wiped out for daring to challenge galactic stability. There were notes on weapons of unimaginable power, strategic decisions that bent the fabric of spacetime, and the cold logic of intervention. Kale swallowed hard. They don't just watch, they judge, and some species didn't survive their judgment. Aaron's fists clenched. "Then we have to prove ourselves. We can't just survive. We have to show them we're worth it," Lena nodded. "Exactly. Humanity has always adapted, always learned, always survived against impossible odds. If the Eldari are watching, they will see that. And perhaps they'll understand that we're not just another species. We are something more." The Horizon's crew worked tirelessly, analyzing every byte of the Shadow Archive they had captured. They learned of ancient galactic politics, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the rules that had kept the galaxy balanced for eons. But most importantly, they learned about themselves. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but that unpredictability was a strength. Where other species relied on strict logic or fear, humans thrived on creativity, adaptability, and the courage to act when others hesitated. Aaron addressed the team. "We have a choice. We can hide, pretend we are weak, and hope they forget us. Or we can step forward, show them our value, our intelligence, and our spirit. They may be the oldest species in the galaxy, but they've never seen humans fight, not just with weapons, but with their minds." Dr. Morales smiled faintly. "Then we will show them, carefully, but boldly. Let them watch, and let them see why Earth should not be ignored." In the weeks that followed, humanity began subtle operations to demonstrate capability without aggression. They assisted distant civilizations with intelligence sharing, solved crises that could have escalated into wars, and quietly tested alien technologies without causing harm. The Eldari noticed. Slowly, their pulses of observation shifted, not suspicion, but cautious respect. Humans were clever, adaptable, and most importantly, willing to act responsibly even in the face of unknown danger. Kale studied a new transmission from the archive. "They're discussing us differently now. They're curious, not just cautious, curious." Aaron grinned. "Curiosity from the galaxy's oldest species, that's a victory on its own." Lena nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars. "It's not just survival anymore. Humanity is making a mark. The Eldari see our potential and we will prove it." And so, humanity walked a tightrope of discovery and restraint, learning the delicate art of galactic diplomacy without being noticed, and all the while, uncovering a darker truth about the galaxy itself. Something ancient, powerful, and dangerous lingered beyond the Eldari's watch, something that might one day challenge not only humans, but the very balance the Eldari had maintained for eons. But for now, humans had survived. They had proven themselves capable, clever, and worthy of notice, and the stars above, once silent, began to feel a little less empty. Humanity had learned that even in the shadows, courage and intelligence could shine brighter than the oldest light in the galaxy. The Eldari had evaded contact with Earth for millennia, but humanity was no longer invisible. They were a spark in the dark, unpredictable, unyielding, and impossible to ignore. The galaxy was watching. Humans could feel it in every decision they made, in every probe launched, and in every subtle act of exploration. The Eldari's judgment was no longer abstract. It was very real, though unseen. And humanity had one chance to prove that Earth was not just another young, reckless species. Captain Aaron Vance stood on the bridge of the Horizon II, humanity's most advanced exploratory vessel. The crew had trained for months, running simulations, studying Eldari patterns, and preparing for the moment they would leave no doubt about their intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Dr. Lena Morales joined him. "The Shadow Archive suggests there's more than just observation," she said. "Something beyond the Eldari's watch, something dangerous. We may be the first species capable of confronting it." Aaron's jaw tightened. "Then we show them that humanity is ready, not just to survive, but to act responsibly when the galaxy itself is at stake." The mission was clear but dangerous. Demonstrate humanity's capacity to handle advanced threats without aggression. A distant star system, long abandoned by civilizations, had been destabilized by an ancient weapon left behind by a forgotten race. Left unchecked, it could trigger a chain reaction of destruction that might engulf nearby systems. The Eldari had deliberately avoided intervention, letting humans take the lead. Every action was being watched. Humanity had to succeed. The Horizon II entered the system quietly, cloaked by advanced stealth technology. Sensors detected faint traces of energy, the remnants of the weapon, still active, still dangerous. Lena and her team analyzed it. "It's unstable," she said. "Even a small misstep could set off a catastrophic chain reaction, but the controls are accessible. They're primitive in a way, usable by us if we act smartly." Aaron nodded. "Then let's act." The crew worked in perfect coordination, each member handling a critical task. Engineers stabilized energy flows, while AI units calculated probabilities and projected consequences. For every wrong move, the system would self-correct, but only if humans remained precise and calm. Kale glanced at the readouts. The weapon was designed to test species, not destroy them outright, but it's dangerous enough to eliminate any careless civilization. Lena's eyes narrowed. "Then they are trusting us. They are testing more than just the weapon, they are testing us." Hours passed in tense silence. Every adjustment, every calculation was monitored by unseen eyes. For humans, this was more than survival, it was a trial. And the galaxy's oldest species, the Eldari, had set the stakes higher than anyone could imagine. Finally, the weapon stabilized. Systems that had once threatened destruction now hummed quietly, harmless. The team exhaled as one. Humanity had succeeded. Aaron allowed himself a small smile. "We did it, not with force, but with intelligence, patience, and coordination." Meanwhile, the Eldari observed. Deep within the Shadow Archive, pulses of energy shifted subtly. Their debate was silent but decisive. The humans had acted not out of aggression but out of responsibility. They had faced danger, understood it, and solved it without recklessness. Dr. Morales spoke softly as she monitored the readings. "They're impressed. More than that, they're acknowledging us." They see that we are capable, that we are worthy of notice. Kale leaned back in his chair. And they're hiding something else. The archive shows traces of a force even older than the Eldari, something they've kept secret, something that humanity might face one day. Aaron's eyes narrowed. Then let's hope they continue to watch us, carefully, so that we can prepare for whatever comes next. With the immediate crisis resolved, humanity returned to Earth. Celebrations were muted. They had succeeded, yes, but in silence. The Eldari had allowed it, and humans understood that recognition from the oldest species in the galaxy was worth more than any public applause. Lena addressed the United Earth Council. We have shown the Eldari that humans are not reckless, that we can analyze, adapt, and act responsibly. They have begun to trust us not blindly, but enough to let us continue exploring, learning, and preparing. Ambassador re-asked, and the darker force you mentioned, what is it? Lena's gaze was steady. We don't know yet. But the Eldari's secrecy is not meant to hide us from them, it is to protect us from it. Humanity has survived the first test. There will be others, but now we know we can face them and win. In the months that followed, humanity continued to demonstrate intelligence, cooperation, and courage across the galaxy. They assisted distant civilizations in conflict resolution, solved crises others considered impossible, and explored unknown star systems without provocation or aggression. Every action was observed by the Eldari. Their pulses of calculation shifted from caution to curiosity to a kind of admiration. Humans had proven themselves capable of great risk, clever strategy, and most importantly, restraint. Captain Aaron Vance reflected on the journey. We've been watched for centuries, he said to Lena. They could have ended us at any moment, but they didn't. They waited, they tested, and we passed. Lena smiled faintly. Not completely, but enough. Enough to earn their respect and to prepare for the challenges ahead. Kale added, and the galaxy knows now that humanity is not just another species. We are resilient, clever, unpredictable. The Eldari see that, and someday others will too. Then came the subtle message. Not direct, not loud, an almost imperceptible pulse in the sensors, an energy signature unlike any human technology. It was a message, silent but unmistakable. The Eldari were acknowledging humanity's worth. Aaron stood on the observation deck of the Horizon II, looking at the stars. We are young, he said quietly. But even young stars can burn bright. The Eldari have watched, tested, and judged us, and they have chosen to let us continue. Lena joined him, gazing at the distant cluster where the Eldari remained hidden. They haven't revealed everything. The darker force, the threats beyond their watch are still out there. But humanity has proven one thing: we are not to be underestimated. Kale spoke from the bridge almost to himself. Curiosity, courage, intelligence, that's what sets us apart. That's what makes us human. The years that followed saw humans taking cautious, deliberate steps across the galaxy. They mapped uncharted star systems, assisted younger civilizations, and explored alien technologies with respect. Every success, every act of intelligence and responsibility strengthened their reputation. The Eldari never approached directly. Their presence remained unseen, but subtle guidance ensured humanity avoided catastrophe and grew stronger. It was an unspoken partnership. Humans learned, adapted, and thrived. The Eldari observed, guided, and protected from a distance. And then, in the distant reaches of Eldari-controlled space, humanity discovered something extraordinary. Ancient markers, remnants of civilizations long vanished, hinted at a force that even the Eldari feared to confront. Humanity had passed the first tests, but greater challenges awaited. Yet for the first time in history, humans were not afraid. They had proven themselves clever, resourceful, and brave. The galaxy's oldest species had judged them, and humanity had earned its place among the stars. Aaron reflected on it quietly, standing before a viewport that framed millions of stars. "We've been watched for centuries," he said. "They could have ended us any time, but they didn't." And that tells us everything. Humanity is capable. Humanity is clever. Humanity is unstoppable when we decide to act. Lena added, "And someday, when the darker force arrives, the Eldari will see what we can do. They've prepared us, even if we don't know it yet." Kale smiled faintly, reading the subtle energy pulses from distant Eldari stations. The galaxy underestimated humans for centuries. That mistake won't happen again. And so humanity continued its journey, exploring, learning, and proving itself at every step. The Eldari's judgment had been passed, the first test survived, and the shadow of the galaxy's oldest species no longer loomed as a threat, but as a quiet acknowledgement. Humanity had arrived. The stars were no longer silent witnesses. They were the stage for a species that refused to bow, refused to fear, and refused to be ignored. Humanity had survived the observation. Humanity had passed the test. And humanity, bold, clever, relentless, was ready for whatever the galaxy held next. In the shadows of the Eldari, a quiet truth was finally clear. Earth was no longer alone, and humans were no longer underestimated. The galaxy had its eyes on them, and humanity, for the first time, met that gaze without fear.